Welcome back to the Bentonville Beacon podcast, where we're sharing stories and advice from the entrepreneurs, business executives, and community leaders sparking the rise of the greater Bentonville area, which represents one of the fastest growing and most dynamic cities and economies in the United States and is nestled in the Ozark Mountains of Northwest Arkansas in the heartland of America. Hi, I'm your host, James Bell, and I am joined today by Andrew Branch, who is the Chief Operating Officer at XNA Northwest Arkansas National Airport. At XNA, Andrew is at the forefront of connecting the people of our vibrant community to the world and to bringing others for visit, to work, and play so they too can discover the opportunities and adventures offered by Bentonville, Northwest Arkansas, and the Ozarks. Andrew's leadership not only propels the airport forward, but also plays a crucial role in the economic dynamism of Northwest Arkansas and the greater Bentonville area. Andrew, welcome to the Bentonville Beacon.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's great to have you here, and I'd love to ask you, first of all, what should our audience know about you?
Well, I don't know that there's anything just particularly interesting specifically about me and my life that anybody would really want to know about. But I would say that I live in Rogers with my beautiful wife, Dr. Yang Lua Branch,
yes,
and our 4-year-old daughter, Lucy. And since moving to Northwest Arkansas not quite 5 years ago, I've just come to love the area, and I get the opportunity to tell companies and other people around the country about this area when we're recruiting air service and trying to get businesses to come here.
Perfect. Well, then will you share your journey to your role as Chief Operating Officer at XNA?
Absolutely. I would say that my journey is not one that was well planned, and it certainly took lots of turns. I'm sure, like most people's careers, I didn't start out to become a Chief Operating Officer at an airport.
Sure.
I don't have an aviation background. Despite having grown up around small airports, my father was a recreational pilot, so I spent a lot of time on airplanes. But my background is an accountant, and I sold a variety of things from mortgages to cars to mining equipment. And I moved to Arkansas in 2012 to attend law school at the Bowen School in Little Rock, and then went to work for the state government and just kind of ended up here when the opportunity presented itself to take the Chief Business Development Officer role and then later COO.
Oh, that's so cool. Well, I've got to believe COO is much funner than being an accountant or a lawyer. I won't make any attorney jokes here.
There's some really good ones. I don't mind.
Do you have a good one?
I'd love none that I should share publicly, okay, but I do have some good ones.
Excellent. Well, what does a COO at an airport do?
That's a really good question. I think that the COO is, of course, I'm a member of the senior leadership team at the airport, and the COO is more about the execution of the vision that comes from the board and the CEO. And so obviously I get to participate in some of those decisions, but once it's decided the airport's going to go this direction, I'm the one that's making it happen. And when I say I'm the one that's making it happen, I direct the team that makes it happen. Obviously, we have many functions, like we have a police department, a fire department, we have a maintenance and operations department. And so I'm just really more of an enabler. I make sure those people have the tools and the resources and the freedom to make good decisions to perform all these functions you need to keep an airport running.
That's cool. Well, I can tell you as somebody who travels through XNA that you run a great operation. And I know sometimes it's just by size of the airport, right, that it seems to run smooth. But I've been to a lot of airports all over the country. I used to fly 100,000 plus miles a year. And XNA is definitely one of the best I've seen in terms of operation.
I appreciate that. I describe it to some people as kind of like a duck. It looks really smooth on the surface, but there's plenty of activity behind the scenes that is going on to keep it going.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. Well, XNA has been in operation for 25 years. I think that anniversary is coming up pretty quick next week. So by the time this airs, we will have passed that, but that's pretty good timing. Yeah. Can you share XNA's founding story and how the airport has evolved over the years and some of the achievements that it's had? Yeah.
So the airport started service November 1st, 1998. But this was a concept that the region had for many years, and I think there were 2 or 3 attempts to set up a regional airport authority. And so a very visionary group of people like Sam Walton and J.B. Hunt and Don Tyson and Todd Simmons and Alice Walton came together, and they formed the Northwest Arkansas Council, knowing that this was something that the region needed to connect it to the rest of the world. And they were able to unite the 5 major cities and the 2 counties that weren't necessarily historically always aligned on everything, and kind of promote that regionalism and get everybody on the same page. And they created the airport authority, I believe in like 94 or something like between 90 and 94. And then the airport opened in 98, and it was a long shot. There was not one airline committed to the airport when the construction started. There was questions about, whether it was a large waste of money. John Stossel did a special where he came out and called it the airport, to nowhere, basically. Mm-hmm. And it was just a big boondoggle that was a big waste of money, and that has not turned out to be the case. So we are still waiting for Mr. Stossel to do a retraction. I don't think that'll ever happen, but it's obviously grown and evolved. We have 6 airlines. We have 22 destinations. We will serve close to 2 million passengers this year. So it's I think the success and growth has exceeded probably what anybody expected.
Really impressive. Well, I was living somewhere else out of state at the time, and I do remember that story. And I remember flying into Drake Field in Fayetteville, and frankly, how terrifying that was. And I also remember that first flight into XNA, and I was really surprised by how amazing that airport was, even in 98, and now living here, how amazing it is. But yeah, Mr. Stossel got it wrong.
He did, and we
I'm glad for that.
Absolutely, and I'd like to know, we love Drake Field. We love Fayetteville. Obviously, they're one of our founding entities.
You bet.
I think it's just their constraint is kind of that they're like in a bowl. And so it's just tons of fog, and it makes it hard to have regular commercial service. But I know they stay very busy with all the private pilot activity down there. General aviation.
Absolutely. Well, if I were a private pilot, I think I'd like to land there. That would be kind of fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very cool. What are some of the challenges and opportunities that you've encountered managing this growing airport?
So, since COVID, the largest challenge that we have is no different than many of the businesses around here. It's staffing. We employ a variety of roles. Again, we have police officers, we have firefighters, we have mechanics, plumbers, HVAC, just anything you think of that can run a facility like we have. And so, attracting and retaining talent is a huge one. It's not unique really to us, but that's a big issue. And then there's a variety of compliance issues. I describe the airport to many people as we're basically a highly regulated shopping mall. So we lease space to airlines, rental car operators, restaurants and retail establishments. And then we are bound by quite a bit of regulation from the FAA and the TSA. And so just kind of juggling all of those things with what do the private businesses operating at the airport want and need versus what will the federal government allow versus what will the traveling public like to see. It's a balancing act. But it makes the job very exciting. So I wouldn't say I would complain about any of those things, but it definitely is challenging.
Yeah, you bet. My industry background is med tech, healthcare, another industry that's constrained a lot by regulatory requirements, but had not thought about what it's like then to add it. Basically, like you said, I like that description, a highly regulated shopping mall. Yeah,
we lease space.
Yeah, space. I had not thought about those challenges. That's pretty cool, and it must make it very fun. Actually,
it is.
I love challenging things. Well, you have some construction going on.
We do.
What in the world is going on over there? It looks like it's going to be pretty amazing.
Yeah, so we have several projects going. The most noticeable one, the one that you refer to, is the Terminal Modernization Program.
Sure.
Our project, and that is pushing out the front wall of the lobby in the middle about 40 feet. And it's creating, we'll have 2 elevators and 2 escalators, replacing 1 elevator and 1 set of escalators. And what we find is there's more and more passengers that have mobility challenges. Mm-hmm. And if your 1 elevator goes down, then we have some real problems with getting people up to the security checkpoint and getting them off on their way. So just creating some redundancy in the vertical circulation. We're replacing the baggage claim carousels with new baggage claim carousels, and then just refreshing. I mean, it's 25 years old.
Yeah.
It's about time to change the flooring and the wall and lights and just all that kind of stuff.
No, neat. Yeah. Well, that'll make an even better experience.
Should.
So, folks are coming to XNA to fly to, I think you said 22 destinations. Can you talk about that reach? What are some of the places that you can get to from here, especially direct, but and beyond those flights, going a little deeper for the audience, how do you see XNA contributing to making Bentonville and Northwest Arkansas an even more desirable place for businesses and residents? Yeah.
So, again, 22 destinations, and I think everybody knows that we have the major hubs, and we have DFW, O'Hare, Phoenix, Atlanta, Denver, Houston, and those are great, and those provide just countless options. I like to tell people you can get just about anywhere in the world from XNA with one stop.
Yeah.
And then we have a variety of more leisure-focused nonstop destinations. A lot of those are less than daily service, but those are to, New Orleans, and we have a lot of Florida destinations. And so those are great options too for a family that's wanting to take a trip and save a little money. I think that to your second question about kind of contributing to Bentonville, Northwest Arkansas's desirability, the figure I've heard, and it's probably not accurate anymore, is something around 60% of people in Benton County were not born in Arkansas.
Right.
And so obviously they come from somewhere, their families are other places, that along with the businesses that do business, obviously with Walmart and Tyson and JB Hunt that are here, just having that connectivity where you can conduct business or visit family or have family visit you, and it's easier. I think that is huge for a region to be able to attract, the kind of citizens we're trying to attract to work at these companies.
Yeah, I think you're right. More often, pretty darn often, I talk with people who talk about, hey, I flew in, landed in the middle of a cow pasture, or they feel like that as soon as they leave and they see a cow pasture. But then I'm like, quickly, I'm into the city and I'm downtown and I'm checking it all out. And I find out whether they're coming to Bentonville or Fayetteville or Springdale, Rogers, wherever they get here and they go to the place they're going to and they're blown away by the region. And quickly after that, they're moving.
Oh, yeah.
And around here, it's not a 2-year plan when you discover a place. It's months or weeks when people decide to come and make the move. They feel compelled to hurry to this place. And the airport's a big contributing factor.
I think so.
After you transitioned to Northwest Arkansas right before a pandemic. How has living in Northwest Arkansas then impacted your personal and professional life?
Yeah. So, and to comment, you were talking about how that people spend time planning the move to Northwest Arkansas. My wife and I had decided, a year or two before we got here that our long-term goal was to end up in Northwest Arkansas and to be here before our child was in school. And just, circumstances worked out where we moved here with a 4-month-old baby, which was not necessarily the optimal plan. We probably would have waited a little longer, but timing being what it was. And then, I was here for 11 months when the pandemic hit. And so I was in charge of business development for an airport. And the 1-year anniversary, we were down 94%. So that was an exciting experience. I like to joke with my boss and our board members that there's not too many people with that record that still have a job. So I appreciate them. But I think coming from Central Arkansas, where we had lived for a few years, the proximity to stores and restaurants and my commute to work, it's all just a lot closer. It's a lot shorter. So that's been great. I can spend more time with my family. I can run home if I need to for something. And then professionally, because of the number of people here, I believe that are not from Northwest Arkansas, this region is a little unique compared to other places I've lived in being so open to newcomers. And so there's not as much of this, good old boy kind of click system. It's hey, welcome. How can we plug you in? I've met countless people in the community and gotten involved with different organizations. And so professionally, I think this region has it's just allowed me to grow a network in a very short amount of time and really make some good relationships. And it's a great place to live.
Yeah, absolutely. It can really propel folks forward. I get to talk to folks all the time, a lot of startups, a lot of people who recently got here, and I hear the same thing from them. And we hear it on this show over and over again about how people just willingly plug them in to people and to the region, to organizations. I was jotting some notes because it's remarkable how similar our stories are to getting here, with a few differences. I grew up in Central Arkansas and left for a long time. So I didn't come from Central Arkansas to here. It took me a little bit longer to get here. But we too my wife and I too had a long-term goal of getting here. And we were kind of passively looking. Then the pandemic happened and sped things up.
Okay.
So we moved here with a 6-month-old.
Wow.
We had him in June of 2020 and moved here in December. And so it's funny how those circumstances propelled things forward. Of course, you got here just beforehand and
it is
had to suffer through the passenger drop, but
we got through it though.
Yeah, you did.
We didn't lay anybody off.
You're back.
Oh, it's So nationally, just as an aside, you didn't ask, but you gave me the opening. Nationally, airports or air travel is about flat with 2019. It's recovered. And we are up this year 8 to 10% over 2019. And 2019 for us was already by far the record year. So 2018 was a record year. 2019 was a record year. And then this year will be the best year in airport history. So
wonderful. I call y'all every year to collect that passenger data for our welcome guide. And I was thrilled to hear the numbers last year. So
it's going to be great this year.
Sounds like it's going to be,
we'll be close to a magic number, but not quite there, I think, but it's going to be close.
Wonderful. What aspects of Northwest Arkansas, and you talked about them some, but maybe you want to expand on it. What aspects about Northwest Arkansas and even specifically Bentonville do you feel like are drawing individuals and businesses to relocate here?
Yeah. So for individuals, obviously, everybody knows that a big draw for many people is the job opportunities. So that's no secret. But the amenities that some of our community leaders and corporate citizens have created to make this a place people want to work and live, things like Crystal Bridges and the Momentary, which is a place that when I bring people in from Texas and other places where I have family and friends, they're always amazed. They can't believe that is here. And so we're lucky to have amenities like that. And you got the Amazium, which is great for small children, and the AMP, and I'm missing places, I'm sure, but there's just so many amenities around Bentonville and the rest of Northwest Arkansas that are just fantastic, and they're all accessible and approachable, and people can go just any day of the week and see these great things, and they're all around us. So I think the amenities are a huge draw. And then one of the amenities that we don't think about as an amenity, because everybody has it, is schools. But the schools here, and that was really one of the big draws for us, are amazing. You look at like what Dr. Jones does with Bentonville schools, it's fantastic. And the other schools, other school districts around here kind of all have similar stories and innovative programs. And it just creates an atmosphere that you want to come live here. And for those of us that have families like you and I, it's a place you want to raise a kid because they're going to have great experiences and all kinds of opportunities they wouldn't have other places.
Absolutely. That was one of the draws for us as well. We knew that you couldn't do better, really. The Bentonville schools are ranked in the top 2% in the country. The other schools in the region have very similar rankings. And, when I grew up in Central Arkansas, it was a time when there wasn't a lot of opportunity, not like there is now. And in particular in Northwest Arkansas, there's this unbelievable opportunity that, I expect that my children are going to be starry-eyed like other children and see the rest of the world and think that maybe the grass is greener somewhere. And if they do, they're going to find out that they want to come back. Absolutely. And I think that's an amazing opportunity for them. I was not looking at things the same way. And they'll have the opportunity.
Right. There's options here
if they want. Yeah. So I think it would be great. Talk a little bit more about like your family. What do y'all like to do? And it can be in Bentonville. It can be across Northwest Arkansas. How does this place help you live your best lives?
So, I'd like to tell the story that everybody else tells about how we're big into bicycles and all that other stuff. And I think we will get there. My little girl loves, she has a Strider bike that, we got from Strider right there on the Bentonville Square. And as she learns, we may become more into that. But I think, we're a little more slower. We're a slower pace. We're not getting on mountain bikes and beating up all these trails or anything like that. I'm too old and fat for that. But, we love going to, on a Saturday morning, go to the farmer's market in downtown Bentonville and visit some of the, we get breakfast, and my little girl loves the fountain and the craft folks that are around the farmer's market. It's just a neat place that we do that a lot on the weekends. A lot of the parks around here, Osage Park is fantastic. That's a favorite. Eating over at Thaden Field and watching planes take off and land. There's a lot of things that it occupies our free time, and it's interesting, and you can be outdoors. It's all kinds of options. And so, we didn't move to Bentonville, so we did move to Rogers, and it was by design. But a big part of the design was being close to Bentonville. So it was kind of, we were trying to get the best of all worlds. And this area, just each town has its own thing and its own feel. And so we kind of selfishly thought, well, we need to live where we can take advantage of multiple instead of just one. But Bentonville and the proximity to Bentonville drove a lot of our decision making on where we decided to buy a house.
Yeah, you bet. I tell people all the time, first of all, when I talk with people about coming here, I'm talking about Northwest Arkansas. And secondary to that is, of course, I'm paid to get them to come to Bentonville or Pea Ridge or Centerton or Bella Vista as the greater Bentonville area. But I want them to know first that Northwest Arkansas is a place they should be and help them figure out the reasons why for them. But when you get here, whether it's a business or a person, the beautiful thing about this place is you can think about Northwest Arkansas as, and maybe I'll talk right to the audience on this, is it's 570,000 people. It's a mid-sized city. We've got all the amenities of a big city because of the cluster of businesses that we have here and the businesses supporting them and the vendors to them. We probably have an ecosystem of businesses unlike you'll find anywhere in the world except some actually pretty large cities. And so you have all these amazing job opportunities, but here we sit in the Ozarks and you have everything that you can imagine, except maybe snow sports and the ocean. But Andrew can get you to a number of cities in Florida on direct flights for that. Absolutely. And it's an incredible place. And so your business can spot up in the zip code that is the right one for your business. And all these cities and towns here have their own character and feel about them. And it means that the people that work for you, your employees, can choose the neighborhoods that they want. And I think it's perfect.
It's fantastic.
It fits perfectly, and you can get places in a few minutes instead of hours. And it just seems like that perfect size and because of the outsized amenities, that perfect feel.
Oh, definitely. I think the regionalism here, to touch on what you were just talking about, I was at an event in Fayetteville before I came here today, and they were talking about how, obviously if you live in Bentonville, you want Bentonville to win. But if Bentonville isn't going to get this new business, if Fayetteville gets it, that's great. Or if Siloam Springs gets it, that's great, because it's still, there's a feeling of it being a region, and that's unlike other places I've lived. It's not so competitive between the different cities. Obviously, there's some healthy competition, but there is. If we can't get it, we want them to get it. We want the region to win, regardless of whether it's our city or the next city.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I am all the time have opportunities that I send to these other cities because, for whatever reason, it's not the right fit for them in Bentonville. I mean, I can think of a company I would have loved to have in Bentonville that came recently is Eddie Line Kayaks. But the best place for them locally is Siloam Springs with the water park, the whitewater parks and so on. It's absolutely perfect. And so there's great opportunities all around this region for everybody. Will you tell me a story? We'll call this a hashtag because Bentonville story. It's something that happened or a story that describes the essence of Bentonville, or maybe it could only happen here.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about this before I came on the podcast. I don't have a really exciting I was trying to maybe make one up that would be real good for the audience, but I think it's kind of what I was talking about a minute ago. Is I think some of the happiest memories I've made with my family since coming here is just on a Saturday morning getting up. Even from my house, not in Bentonville, it's 10 minutes away, 15 minutes away to the Bentonville Square. And we go have a nice breakfast and then, walk around the farmer's market and everybody's real friendly and there's people with dogs and kids and you got a fountain. And it's kind of idyllic. And it's, I've lived other places and not any place I've lived had so many of those things that you could do in one place and walk around. And it's like it's like a perfect small town. And then 5 minutes away, you've got all these other amenities that you wouldn't see in a small town. And I think that's what is unique about Bentonville and Northwest Arkansas.
Yeah, we do the same, although admittedly, we maybe don't get around early enough on Saturday morning. By Saturday morning, it's usually my fault. That's my morning that I catch up on sleep.
Right.
Or mow the yard. So sometimes oftentimes we don't make it to the farmer's market, but we make it to First Friday and all the other events that happen around the square. And it's just a fabulous square. Yeah. I love going there. My boy too loves the water fountain.
Kids love that place.
Yeah, it's really cool. Well, he's got a sister coming in December.
Oh,
and so
congratulations!
Thank you. So looking forward to taking her and him there in Osage Park and some of the other places we talked about. How do you see local growth, in Bentonville and across Northwest Arkansas influencing the operations and the strategies for XNA?
Well, we rely a lot on what the region perceives as the growth that is coming. I think everybody's pretty much in agreement that the region will get close to 1 million in population. You mentioned we're 570, 575 right now. But by 2040, which will be here before we know it, we'll probably be about double or pretty close to double. And so we know that per capita, there will be a certain number of people flying. And so if the region doubles, then the traffic at the airport, in theory, should be pretty close to doubling as well. And so we just have to plan to have enough gates and enough ramp space, enough seating area. And so those constraints that we have in facilities, we have to try to plan around that growth so that when the region does double in size, we can meet the needs of a region that large. And it's kind of that rising tide that's going to raise all ships. We're in that with everybody, and we just have to try to keep up. Is really the growth is not going to slow down. I wouldn't imagine anytime soon, and we just have to stay ahead of it. So
exactly. Well, that's cool. Well, as we start going into the last segment of this show, it's kind of a hodgepodge of we'll ask about how to get in touch with you, but also I'll ask you a couple of fun questions that are really just designed to get to know you and your personality a little bit more.
If that's a good thing or not. Yeah.
I understand. A couple advice questions. But first, I realized I haven't asked about the new Meg Ryan rom-com.
Yeah.
That is coming out. And
I think next week.
Filmed at XNA. So, XNA is the real star of that, of course. What was that like having a movie filmed there?
If I had to use one word, and I don't want this to sound bad, but it's challenging. So
I bet.
we were super excited to have them and honored that they would film at XNA, and obviously it was great for the state of Arkansas to have a movie like that filmed here, and for Bentonville and Northwest Arkansas to have it filmed here. But obviously we're busting at the seams with people that are trying to get to and from planes and the traffic because it has all returned, and to try to film a movie during the day around passengers.
Wow.
So it was challenging, but it was good. The movie's going to come out next week. I think everybody's real excited. I think several of our employees ended up as extras
That's cool.
So that'll be neat. It's challenging, but exciting. Let's go with that.
Neat. And I forgot to mention to you, so the name of the movie is What Happens Later.
Yes.
So obviously check it out.
Yeah. I think we're going to give away some tickets on social media possibly the next week, kind of promotion for that movie coming out. So be looking for that.
Very cool. Will do. Well, maybe I can win some tickets.
Yeah, probably got it.
I'm going to try. Hey, Andrew, if an audience member wants to reach you to collaborate with you or learn more about XNA, how do they do those things?
So we're, like I mentioned, we're very active on social media. Probably more often than not, when you send a message to, we have a very good social media person that does a lot of the posts and produces the content that we put out there. But a lot of the questions, if you were to send a message on Instagram or Facebook, more often than not, I might be the one responding because it was a very small team. Or if you wanted to, you could email me, andrew.branch@flyxna.com. I try to respond to everybody quickly. If I'm slow, I apologize. I do get a fair amount of emails, but I would love to hear feedback. If you're going to send me an email that just says bring Southwest, we already know that people want Southwest. If it was that easy, we would have them here. So maybe don't send that email, but send me anything else. I'm happy to help, and anything we do to improve, we'd love to hear about it.
Excellent. When are we getting set? I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not anytime soon, probably.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Come on, Southwest.
We would love to have
We're
them.
right here.
Yes, they are always welcome.
Absolutely. Well, okay, a couple of those fun questions that I promised. Imagine a scenario where you're walking through the airport and you find a magic lamp. Give me 3 wishes that you would make for XNA.
Okay, and they have to be for XNA. So I'm just wondering if I can make a wish for myself.
You can save 1 for yourself, 2 for XNA, 1 for you.
I mean, it's the unlimited wishes or unlimited money.
Yeah, except for unlimited wishes.
I think for the airport, unlimited funding. Funding is going to be the biggest challenge for XNA in the next 20 to 30 years. To be able to build an additional concourse or an extra terminal in 20 years, whatever is needed, and possibly a second runway. To fund that is if you do the math, it's not going to be easy.
Right.
We try very hard to keep our cost to the airlines low, and we do. We are typically lower on our cost per enplanement, which is the measure that airlines use, than Little Rock or Tulsa. I think Springfield might have beat us a little bit this year, but we subsidize our costs and don't charge the airlines everything we can to keep the costs low. So people often tell us that the costs are high. Well, the costs are not high. Your airfare is high.
That's right.
Our costs are low, so we keep the costs low to the airlines. So unlimited funding would help us with that. A U.S. Customs presence. You said you'd love to have a flight to Mexico. That is a 7-figure annual proposition for us to be able to pay for a customs presence. So obviously, we'd love to have U.S. Customs here and be able to have flights to Cancun and Toronto. Toronto's a big one. Some of those kind of options. So the U.S. Customs would be the second one, and then an airline base. And would we love it to be Southwest? Obviously, we would. But if any airline would put a base here, that would obviously create jobs.
Yeah, it
would create more connectivity, more flights, more options. So those would be my 3, and maybe unlimited wishes.
Those are those are some solid wishes. I like them. If you could implement one whimsical or unconventional feature at XNA Northwest Arkansas National Airport, what would it be?
So other than drag racing on the runway, which has actually happened at some small airports, we're not going to do that. But a rooftop bar, I think, and obviously the development cost and the logistics to pull it off are probably beyond what we can do. But if we could have a bar on the top of the airport, that'd be pretty cool. I mean, just be a great place to unwind. You can obviously see a really long distance from the airport and from the top of the terminal, and to be able to watch the planes take off and land. I think that'd be really neat.
That would be neat. I would definitely come check that out.
Yeah. Don't count on it happening, but that would be my whimsical wish.
Awesome. Would you have to go through security to get it, or would you have it somewhere?
In my world, maybe we'll have both.
Hey, very cool. I like it. I saw that. I didn't realize this was a thing. I saw on social media or somewhere that you can get a pass now.
Yes.
To get pass. If you don't have a ticket, you can get a pass to get inside the terminal.
It's basically a boarding pass that doesn't let you board.
Neat.
So it'll let you clear through the TSA checkpoint. It's free. Nice. It's good for 24 hours, and we have a kiosk, an automated kiosk in the lobby that you would use, and you go in there, put in your information, scan your ID, and then you go through the checkpoint.
That is so cool.
It's been a little spotty. We're still working out the bugs on the connectivity of that and the system, but it's working for most people.
Cool. Well, next time we bring my in-laws to the airport,
go out and wait with them.
Come to pick them up, we're going to use that. We might wait to pick them up, so it'll be a really big surprise in the back end of the trip.
Yeah.
Be a lot of fun. Okay, a couple of advice questions. What approaches or sort of professional type questions? You talk about what approaches have helped you. You've talked about your changes. What's helped you in aligning your skills and experiences from previous roles to the demands and expectations you have of being COO at XNA?
Yeah. So, I think something I've tried to do in all of my positions and with varying degrees of success is to be open and listen more than I talk. And people that know me would probably almost chuckle when I say that because I like to talk. So it's something I have to work on constantly is to listen. I think you have to understand that you're not the smartest guy in the room, and you don't have to be the smartest guy in the room. And the best idea is very likely not going to be your idea, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. And so just being willing to engage all of your subject matter experts, all your employees, the customers, partners, listen and hear and actually process what these people are telling you, and then, go with what the best option is. Don't be the guy that has to have the best idea. And I think if people approach with them, again, this is something I've learned from our CEO. It's a more collaborative approach, which is not naturally my style, but I've adopted it. It's you win more because it's a force multiplier. You have smart people around you, you have experts around you, and they're all contributing. And if you can have some discernment on maybe which idea is the best idea, you can learn a lot, and you can just end up doing a lot better things than you would have ever done relying on your own expertise.
Absolutely. I've learned some of those same things over time. That is very sage advice. Reflecting on your journey, then what proactive steps would you suggest for individuals to take to excel and make meaningful contributions as they transition to new leadership roles?
I think it kind of echoing a little bit of what I was already saying, but being open and to new ideas, and then just, I've been in a couple of different industries, and so what I try to do is just learn as much as you can, and realize that at the point where you think you know everything, you probably don't, and so learn some more. I mean, just read and ask questions and surround yourself with people smarter than you, which has been really easy for me, and just try to absorb as much as possible.
Again, sage advice. I love it. I have one last question. Mm-hmm. What's something I should have asked you that I did not ask?
Well, I'm glad we didn't talk about football.
Right now.
And I obviously went to a different school, but we're not having a great season either. I don't think there's really anything else I would add. I think you've been extremely comprehensive. And again, I've probably already talked too much.
You've done a great job. I'm a talker too. I totally understand. Well, your insights today have really painted a vivid picture of the essential role for XNA to our community. Appreciate the work that you're doing, the way you're connecting the community. I appreciate what XNA does to connect the community to the world. And as I said earlier, really enables other people to come here and see this place and discover it for themselves. So thank you for your leadership at the airport and in the community.
Well, thank you for having me. And again, it can't happen without a whole lot of hardworking people that are pulling in the same direction. So we have a lot of really dedicated people that make it happen every day.
Absolutely. Thank you. Hey, thank you to you, our Bentonville Beacon audience. Thanks for continuing to spend your valuable time with this show and its guests. Please take a moment to go ahead and share this show with your colleagues and friends. And if you found this episode through BentonvilleBeacon.com, I just want you may have noticed that we've launched a refreshed website, or soft launched it since we haven't announced it. Check that out. Let me know what you think. Feel free to email me. Email address is first letter J, last name Bell, Bell, at greaterbentonville.com. Email your thoughts about that soft launch or that new website. And if you're using your favorite podcast player, make certain to hit subscribe if you haven't done that already. And finally, keep coming back to learn more about the entrepreneurs, the business executives, and the community leaders who are sparking the rise of the greater Bentonville and Northwest Arkansas region, where you get more of what you want and less of what you don't. We'll see you next time.